60 Minutes Rewind.
Even if you don't follow college basketball, you've probably heard of Booby Knight. He's the coach who touched off an international incident at the Pan American Games last summer when he was charged with socking a cop. That came as no surprise to sports fans because Booby Knight is just that kind of fellow. If he weren't the best basketball coach in the country, and a lot of people say he is, or if his Indiana University team were not a national contender, which it is, we would probably still be doing a story about him. Love him or hate him, and there are plenty of people on both sides of that issue, he is bigger than life and meaner than a rattlesnake.
You're crazy! The goddamn ball is that far off the bucket! Christ, you can't even see that where you are! The ball is on this side!
At Indiana, this scene is as common as a ball going through the hoop.
Between you and the thing! We're getting beat because we're just not tough enough in the way we're playing. That's the whole thing. We're not tough enough on the board. We're not tough enough handling the ball. We're not tough enough moving the ball. Now let's don't have anything left after 10 minutes. And then we'll just play on guts from that point on. But let's throw everything we've got into the first 10 minutes of this half.
At the age of 24, he began coaching at West Point and led Army teams to the few winning seasons they ever had. In 1972, he came to Indiana and quickly turned them from also-rans into NCAA national champions 4 years later. But no matter where he is, he always acts the same. He yells at his players.
Who in the hell is guarding Hanson? Well, then, goddammit, get him!
He puts down reporters.
That's just how good I feel tonight, Russ. I'll even say hello to you.
You must feel damn good.
He screams at referees.
Oh, no! He just went down!
He even berates home crowds for not yelling loudly enough. But most importantly, he wins. And winning basketball games here in Indiana is as important as a good corn crop is to Iowa or a hit season is to Broadway. Indiana is basketball crazy. A ball and a net would make a perfect state flag. And as long as Knight is holding the flag, his players march, run, and jump to his tune.
Let's go. We go out this way. Let's go. Let's go. And I say, boys, we're going to play basketball my way. This isn't going to be very democratic. We're not going to vote on what offense or what defense or who the hell's going to play or anything, because I've forgotten more about this game than you're going to know, and we're going to play it my way.
You took a jump shot off the dribble, no passes. Your next shot is a jump shot with one pass. Now, are we running your offense or mine?
Both his offense and defense seem more suited to a battleground than playground. He permits little individual freedom, few flashy moves, no one-on-one play. Knight stresses the fundamentals. He considers himself not so much a coach as a teacher. Indeed, one history professor calls Knight the best teacher at the university, period. Other professors say his winning-at-all-costs attitude and intimidating ways make him the worst influence in the state.
Tell Bushy one pass and a shot again. We just, damn it, we'll tell him.
Knight's philosophy is the same off the court and seems wildly out of bounds to many of today's Indiana students.
It's important that people know what the hell you think when you're the man in charge, and I try to leave little doubt as to exactly what I think about most issues. Somebody says to me, how do you get your teams to play as hard as they do? Your teams play harder than almost any other basketball team I watch. What's your secret? Well, there's absolutely no secret. You're either going to play hard or you're not going to play. That's a great motivational device.
His method of motivating is maybe one of the things that people object to. I think he motivates by fear a lot of times.
Curry Kirkpatrick, college basketball writer for Sports Illustrated.
It's scary sometimes, some of the things he does with young, impressionable college players. Now, I think if he went to the NBA, did the same thing he does in college, he would either have the best team in pros, or he would be dead within a week, because some of the pros would beat the hell out of him.
10 of Knight's players have made it to the pros. One of them, Quinn Buckner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
When you get out on the court, he asks you to do one thing, and that's just give him 100% every second that you're out on the court. And I personally don't think that's asking a lot. Sometimes he's so intense that he gets so involved in the game, and yelling at some players really destroys them. I don't mean permanently, it's just for a certain period in their life, It was like, this is the toughest thing they've ever been through. And my whole goal as far as being on the basketball court was winning the NCAA championship. And he motivated me to get out there every day to do that. And he motivated the other guys on the team to do it. And it's hard to argue with that.
Come on, move it, move it, move it.
Enough players have quit to form a team of their own. Some are quoted as saying they were intimidated, humiliated, scared, frightened. One said basketball wasn't fun anymore and called Knight an SOB.
Well, hell, don't nod about it. Do it. Let's go.
I honestly believe that people respond who are competitive best to criticism. I sometimes think that praise makes us a little lazy.
Come on, be ready, Ray, be ready.
Well, see, I'm a great believer that none of us works to potential.
Right,
I believe the most detrimental, singular thing in society is human nature. I think human nature dictates that instead of working on my jab step, one dribble and jump shot for an hour, I work on it for 15 minutes and then I go watch what's going on around the swimming pool. You know, I think human nature, to you, to me, to players, is the toughest opponent that we have to fight.
A former coach who never beat Indiana is Al McGuire, now basketball commentator for NBC Sports.
He expects when you play for him, if there's a ball on the floor, you dive for it. You don't have to come up with it, but you must come up with spalling on your forehead. And you must leave some of your blood on the court. It's a constant maximum effort, that there is no softening, there's no marshmallow type of thing out there. It's almost blood and guts.
I really think that there's a great similarity between hunting and working with hunting dogs and coaching and working with basketball players, because you get a dog that has some native talent. It can run, it has some strength, it has a nose that can smell, and then you've got to really develop and perfect that. That's like getting a basketball player that can run, can jump, can do some things that embody physical skills, and then you've got to kind of be the mastermind behind the operation as the hunter, just like the coach has to be with the team.
During the 6-month basketball season, Knight's wife and 2 sons rarely see him except as spectators.
I haven't watched half the games. My head's been in my lap this year. That's how nervous I've been this year.
If we can be a very difficult team to score against, then we're going to be a difficult team to beat.
As a player, he wasn't even a starter. Then again, he wasn't bad. Number 6 man on an Ohio State championship team starring Jerry Lucas, Larry Siegfried, and John Havlicek. Knight says he learned from them why some teams win and some teams lose.
We read reams of copy about the will to win. We hear countless broadcasters talk about the will to win. But I want to tell you something about the will to win. The will to win is the most overly exaggerated phenomena that we have in society today. You have to have a will to prepare to win. Not a will to win, because everybody's got that. It's the will to prepare to win.
The story will continue after this.
Knight demands total commitment to team play. It is the team, not the individual, that counts.
If we can get the kind of boy that I think is willing to say, all right, I'm going to be a part of a really good team, and from that, I'm going to get a lot of recognition, which has happened with our players, instead of the boy that says, well, how many shots per game will I get in your offense? Or how many minutes will I play? Or how will you use me offensively? If we can determine that the kid will think that all the recognition that he wants is going to come out of team accomplishment, then this is what we're after, and that's not an easy thing to determine.
At high school games, he scouts for future players, players willing to take orders, who, after arriving on campus, will be molded and formed into Knight's image.
I think I have to take away individuality to some degree to accomplish what I want to accomplish in athletics. They required to get haircuts. They're required to be clean-shaven. That takes something away from those kids that is a little bit of a sacrifice on their part.
Recruiting for college teams is, of course, fiercely competitive. Some high school superstars not only are wined and dined, petted and pampered, but also offered big money, often in the form of huge fees for summer jobs not performed. $40,000 a year is a figure often bounced around in locker room huddles. Knight refuses to play that bidding game and demands that his players work hard academically. At many other colleges, a lot of players don't graduate. At Indiana, they do.
He goes after maybe 4 blue chip thoroughbreds, blue plate specials, these Einsteins that every coach in the country wants, and he gets them. So there has to be a section of this country that believes exactly in what Bobby Knight does. They believe in discipline. They believe in crew haircuts, bow ties, the 40s and the 50s, General Patton, charge into the machine gun nest, that type of thing, and which isn't bad. It's more of a conservative type of America.
If much of Middle America admires him, many sports reporters do not. For the 2 seasons before this one, Knight held virtually no post-game press conferences. Instead, one of his assistants handed out mimeographed quotes. Begrudgingly, he changed that policy this year, but at the same time, he often closed the locker room to reporters after games.
I don't think Bobby Knight really understands the role of the press. If you're not 100% for Knight in the Indiana program, you're an enemy. This is a kind of a paranoia.
It is also a kind of perverse independence, a belligerent way of letting everyone know that he can win his own way. In a sport cheered for flashy offense, Knight insists on aggressive defense. In an era of permissiveness, he insists on discipline. When competitors insist they simply cannot win without buying recruits, Knight proves that he can. And when other coaches would leap at national publicity, Knight will turn his back if he thinks a publisher ever wrote a bad word about him.
What was your reaction to Sports Illustrated last fall when they asked you to pose on a cover?
And I told them that I thought, being what our relationship had been over the past 4 or 5 years, that what I felt they should do is step out on 6th Avenue and take the Time Life Building and stick it.
He's threatened me physically. He's threatened other people in our magazine physically. He threatened to throw another one of our writers out of a 2nd-story window. I mean, we could go on here, but these are just personal things, and they're laughable.
But he says them in jest, doesn't he?
I hope so.
Now we got 3 minutes to take this thing into the halftime. You've worked 17 minutes. You've played good basketball for 17 minutes to get it into this position. Let's take it in with 3 really strong minutes at both ends of the court. Let's help each other out. Let's block out, and let's be sure of what we're doing with the ball on offense. Let's go. Let's go.
When it goes good for the team, it goes good for the university. Direct basketball income for this season is projected just short of $1 million. Add another $250,000 for a successful postseason tournament. And alumni contribute more when the team wins than when it loses. A healthy $2 million more last year, and probably more this year.
Can you lose and survive here?
I don't think so. I don't think that the university or the people in Indiana, the atmosphere of basketball in Indiana would permit you to lose here and survive. I don't think there's any way that could be done.
Last weekend, Indiana again won the Big Ten championship. This weekend, they began their quest for a 2nd NCAA crown.
When Bobby Knight is involved, you lose sight of the players. You lose track of his players. And after all, the games are for the players, not for the coaches. And I think Knight, subconsciously or not, takes the spotlight to the detriment of the players, all in the cause of winning, all in the cause of winning.
Maybe I do have tunnel vision in that regard, but damn it, I want those kids to be able to get out of here, and I want them to look back and say, now they may not understand why I've said what I did or what I've said, but I want them to get out of here, and at some time, it may not be this year or next year, maybe 5 years, I want them to be able to sit down and analyze education at Indiana University and say that playing basketball was the greatest form of education I received while being there.